Alright guys, I'd like to present my Concept 2025 CRF 300l Howqua edition. So just a concept bike, i.e. I've taken my original bike and keep it adding bits and pieces to it as something that might work as a mock-up for fun and games. And at the moment, with all the concept bikes coming out around being on the web, I thought let's have a go at doing something as well for a bit of fun and just a way of showing the bike I'm getting about on and documenting some of the bits and pieces. So base model 2021 CRF 300l has the about 7,500 kilometers on it now. Engine, mechanicals, all stock standard. Airbox, air filter, oil, just updates and changes as per the service intervals. But essentially that's all stock standard and it just works. Turn it on and goes. The exhaust, we've got a Leo Vince, Italian tip on the end of it. Just a slip-on muffler, lighter weight, nice and note, not too rude, and presents really well as you can see. Already scratched up a touch. Keeping on with the Italian theme, doing like a bit of a concept of a partnership, I guess, a theoretical between Honda and Acerbis or Acerbis, depending on how you present it. So you've got the 14-litre tank, which works on the fuel gauge, just pipes in, works beautifully. That then leads also to the bash plate and the frame guards, also Acerbis. And colour all works in just really nice. There's a few gaps on the side panels down in here, but however that's more from me bouncing it around when I've been out and about on the trails or on the motocross track, and it gets a little bit interesting when you're out there. Suspension wise, we've got YSS up the front and aftermarket shock. Fairly top end in the comparison to what else is out there. So instead of just some basic mods, you've got full adjustability at the front and also on the rear shock and the front forks, as I said, and they work a treat. Stock standard ABS, you can switch off the rear on the track, on the wet or in the bush, wherever you like. I recommend in the wet, keep it on. And it can be, it's quite a skill to use that on the motocross track or the open trails with the front ABS. I found it's been pretty fantastic when you come up onto a tabletop, when you're sharing the track with other people and you get someone across, you can lock it up, you've got the knobbies, so when it normally might just flip out or slip out, you can kind of just steer around, and it can take a lot of time to practice that, and it just works really nicely. Further on with the Italian theme, if you will, the handlebars are actually from SWM, so kind of going to the parts bin, what I had at home, and they were sitting there off the first 300cc I had, which was the SWM 300 RS, and unfortunately that bike was stolen, so that's why I changed a few models over the years and settled on this bad boy. So SWM oversized fat bars, bar risers, and for colour continuation and protection, we've got the Renthal bar pad on front there. Levers, pretty much just online, anodized, red, adjustable, just work a treat, look nice. Got the, I think they're Renthal grips, and then just the rings on the end of them, which the name of it forgets me. We can throw that in the bottom. All up with the Topline seat cover from the guys at Topline Upholstery down at Seaford, custom made, just beautiful. If you get a chance to get something down there made for whatever bike you have, definitely worth the experience, and a lot of fun just going and watching it all being done. Admittedly, if you've got to order something, then that's an option you can explore too. They also do risers on the back for your Dakar kind of build up, or your safaris, Hatter, Fink, that kind of stuff. Got the Tugger strap on the rear end, so removed the bolts that would be there for luggage tie downs, and it's a more slimline, so it won't catch when you're throwing yourself forward and back on the more gnarly conditions. And the Tugger grip just gives you the ability to grab it if you need to. Got a ram mount at the back, 3 of them along the front there. I like to run a Garmin GPS so that I can definitely have that additional navigation option in amongst the scrub, and then you've also got the option of what's going on there. And then Barkbuster hand guards and the sticker kit from a few different areas. So underneath the front console is an additional plug point, and in this case we've got the lead sourced off the interweb and USB plugs, so GPS, telephone and etc. you can plug in and charge up depending on what your needs are. Aussie Barkbusters on the front, colour scheme works well. I like the silver wraparound lines in with the handlebars that I've already got on there. And the bar risers, a little bit hidden, but it's sort of just, you know, nice to have it all tucked in and happy. B&B, Australian manufacturer, do the tail tidy and slightly modified, shortened and strengthened for what taking it to the track. Still clears the back wheel nicely, full suspension travel, and no issue there at all. And a very good solid product, and also meeting all the guidelines as required for the local laws. So one doesn't have to be concerned when they're going down the freeway that maybe if they get pulled over, if they go to a booze bus, it's all legit, all compliant and all okay. Up the front, got 4 bolt points on the front, which you can possibly see. These to allow for, again, another Australian manufacturer, screens for bikes. This is a small screen at the front to give you a little bit of wind protection on the longer distances. I generally find, unless I was going to go for a multi-dayer, don't personally need it, quite enjoy being the wind buffeting and bouncing around on me, and just enjoy, that sort of more open cockpit feel. However, when I have had it on and going out on group rides with other adventure bikes, you just tuck in there and it just throws it right over the top, and they do work awesomely. I've had them on the 650, the KLX 650, KLX 450, and DRZ 400 actually in years gone by. Couple of graphics kits on there. So on the front fender, and then also the side fenders and along the back here, these are actually off the CRF300 Rally bike. So the plastics are different colours and different shapes, but I've just gone with a sticker kit from that bike, giving it a little bit more of a, I do like the Honda blue and white and red colours, and for me they just work quite nicely. Added a few stickers we already had lying around, and then tweaked it up with some Rockstar just for adding to it. Again, front fenders and the swing arm, sticker kits that are available, not necessarily representing the tyre package. I have been running a Dunlop front and I had a 606 on the back. However, it was a 130 wide and it knocked out about 45 mil, I guess 45 mil of oversize for the stock size of the tyre, so being a bit taller, it meant that the suspension travel was lessened, and on the big hits on the track, because my skill sets are still building, it'll bottom right out, and that wasn't very cool. And when yeah, it might be good for clearing the mud off, but everything else was just really, really sketchy. As I said, haven't put any braces on the radiator, on the one-sided radiator, but touch wood, the extra tank hanging out of the side. You can see it does protrude somewhat here and here, giving a bit more strength to the side. Again, not wanting to crash and burn, but if you do put it down, preferably a slow one, like on a track when you may blow out in the corner and you just drop it, it's got sort of like a bit of integrated strength, and they all sort of work together quite nicely. The frame guards just do their thing, and the frame's nice and clean under there. If you see any, I guess, second-hand bikes for sale or riding out with crew, you'll see that area scuffs up quite nicely, especially when you're wearing the full motocross boots and, when you're on the track bouncing around. The suspension's dialed in fairly stiff and really works nicely on the track. I'm not a guru, so there's always options for learning a lot more in that area. Fun on the cluster, you've got hazard lights on this bike. So other bikes might have like a high beam flasher. They won't have hazards. It's all ups and downs. If you're running different bikes, and Honda has the horn over the indicators, and most bikes are the other way around, what you can do is, if you choose to, is run your cluster slightly off center. So rotate a little bit up, and the other bike you have a little bit down, and so potentially the horn might be in the same position, or the indicator's in the same position, and then it's just a case of going indicator up for horn or down for horn, and getting used to it. So if you're flipping between multiple bikes, that might be something you want to explore yourself in your own, with whatever you've got there. For one bike that can do it all, there's also a B&B rear rack which mounts up over the top. Again, I've got it configured with a Tugger strap, a ram mount, and the bolts are ducked in. The B&B rear rack allows for a lot of nice accessories, and it doesn't take much to get a set of pannier bags, I guess is probably the best term for it. Saddle bags or whatever luggage setup you want, and there's a wealth of knowledge and options out there. For what I'm doing, it's commuting, local trips up here at Macedon, single track if it's authorised on their open areas, and then going to the motocross track. As the bike sits now, all I do at the motocross track is take off the mirrors and I'm good to go. As time goes on, I'll potentially learn about more suspension settings, and I may soften it up and harden it up depending on the track and the conditions and what I'm doing. But for the day-to-day, it just worked a treat. Eagle eyes will notice that the front tyre and the rear are both well worn. You can see the knobs are coming in on a bit of an angle. You do get a fair bit of road noise. The vibration's not too noticeable, and it does feel quite torquey up until about 110 kilometres an hour, which is the legal limit here in Victoria, Australia. So above 110, you know, you're going to potentially be getting fines and trouble and all sorts of bits and pieces. It will pull, so if you're behind a truck or something and slowing down, you can come out and then pull up to 110, even with the additional, you know, full front wind noise on it, and or the force of the wind. Pardon me. But these are starting to wear out, and again, it's just the sacrifice. Road legal knobbies, not terrible on the track. In the mud, you're just going a bit slower, it gets a bit sketchy, builds the skills. I have taken the toolbox off the rear hand on the back corner. I figured it would probably get snapped off on the daily, and it's also more equipment to just sort of get covered in mud and chewed up and knocked around there. There are holes that go between the toolbox, like open holes, if you will, up into the bottom of the fairing where you've got the fuse blockers, so it can be good to, or wise to block that off, just so you're not getting all the dust, dirt and gunk through there on rainy days on the track. Again, the ABS can be kind of good fun keeping them both on when you're on the track. I'll try and knock out another video and sort of demonstrate what I've experienced with that, or other people have experienced. So the Honda 450L, I think it is, the road version of their 450, which is sort of a road version or road trail version, so not the full motocrosser, that has, again, for road legal requirements, front ABS. You don't have it on the back, and so you don't have to worry about switching it off, but you cannot switch off the front. It has to stay on the whole time. So for anybody with one of those bikes, or if they've got the CRF300L, definitely beneficial when you're doing your first couple of quiet laps on a track, or if you're out in the bush or a farm and you want to sort of build up quicker and quicker, get used to going full lock, because often if you're on like braking bumps going into a berm, you'll find the front wheel will want to keep rolling more than you might be used to with a non-ABS equipped motorbike. There's lots of arguments or debates, if you will, online about which works the best, should have ABS, not have ABS. For me personally, I'm a fan. I can run knobbier tyres on the road in crappier conditions and have confidence that the ABS is going to assist in where, instead of putting the bike down, where one might sort of go, okay, I'll go to a more compromised tyre choice to have better braking options, better handling in the wet. Again, I'm not riding Europe or the open roads of America where the speed limits may be well in excess of 110 or 65 miles an hour roughly. So this bike, this configuration, for me, just working a treat. It's already had a heap of time on the track, as in motocross track or soft motocross, and yeah, really enjoying it. There are some, you know, people out there that are doing all sorts of amazing stuff with these bikes, all sorts of travels and trips, and I still think there's a lot of life in this particular model, this layout and this shape, and hence gone with the owner's concept of what it might look like. Yeah, thanks very much. Enjoy. Cheers.